Okay, Bez Hashem, we're on Heyom Beis. We're in the middle of a sugya of Bayiro Bayimatzeh. The Torah has two psukim. It says, Shibas Yom Sar Lo Yimatzeh Bevatechem, and it says Lo Yirelecha Chometz Lo Yirelecha Sar B'Chol Gevulecha. So by Bayimatzeh it says house, and by Gvulcha it says what? It says Lecha. So we derived yesterday two halachas. We said if it just says Lecha, your Chometz, meaning the halacha is in fact that you only chai for your chametz and not somebody else's chametz. So therefore, I might think if you don't, and it says lo yira'eh, I might think if you don't see your chametz, that it's okay. Or if a guy would come in and trust you to watch his chametz, it's okay because it's not yours. Kamashman lo yimatzeh should not be found in your rishus. Conversely, lo yira'eh, we learned out that again, yours you could see, but you can't see, but others you could see. We had a gezer shavat to say that the din of Bal Yakmin and also applies to Bal Yiroeh and vice versa. In the dialogue of the Brisa, we said something very mudna, which we're going to pick it up right now. We're going to pick it up on about 19 lines from the bottom. Omamar the two dots on Hey Amid Beis. Omamar Ainli Ela Benachri Shloi Kivashtoi Vein Shari Imcha B'Chotzer. I would say this din of being mekap that you can't accept pikdainos is by a nachri that you have no shaykhs to. You didn't conquer him. He doesn't live with you. But listen to but nachri shekibashtai, a nachri that in fact lives by you. He's subservient to you. Vishorim chabachotzer. Minayin, how do you know that you're over on what, that you can't have it? It means it should be found by you. So listen to the svara. There's a bigger svara to say that a friend, the guy, I can't have it, but one closer, I could have it. Adarabba, the closer the guy is to you, the more he resides with you, the more shaykhs it is to say that money is that his money is your money. That's more lecha. It's the opposite. So the Gemara asks right away, Klape Laya, what kind of svara is that? What kind of svara is to say that if he's closer to me, I need a limud, but if he's farther away from me, that's pashut. No, it's not like that at all. So Rabbi, you're right. Switch it around. I would think that only a guy that's close to you, you can accept. But a guy that's farther away, you could. Kamashman lo yimatzeh, it should not be found by you. Period. No matter which guy it comes from. That's the way Rabbi learns, and that in svara makes the most sense. However, Rabbi Amalolim light paper, don't switch it around. Va'arei and the din about the guy that's found by you is not going on the lo yimatzeh, it's going on the lo yiroy lecha. In other words, this is a heter. I can't see my own chametz, but I could see somebody else's chametz. Now, I might have thought, what? I might think, whose chametz can I see? The friend, the guy, the one that he didn't conquer, the one that's farther away. That chametz, what? I can see. A nachri that you have shaykhs to, a nachri that's close to you, minayin, because in fact that's more lecha. I might think there the halacha of lo yiro'eh lecha applies to that guy because he's so close to you. Minayin tamid leimar lo yimatzeh. Tamid leimar that what? Even that guy lo yimatzeh cannot be found by you. So now lo yimatzeh is mashma and iser. It's usher. But you're coming to teach me a heter, guys. You're coming, the way Rav is learning is the din of the guy that's close to you. You might think that it's usher because he's close to you. Kamashman, it's mutter to see his chametz, right? Kamashman, it's mutter to see his chametz, the fact that he's close to you. Now, but the word lo yimatzeh is mashma, it's usher. But the way Rav is learning, the word lo yimatzeh, which is usher, is being used for a heta. It's being used for a heta, right? Lo yimatzeh means, if I would say, lo yimatzeh is a heter or an isser, it's an isser. It should be found by you. But the way Rabbi is learning is, even a guy that's close to you could be found by you. What kind of svar is that? So the Gemara asks right away. Gemara, he's looking for a heta to permit the guy that's close to you to see his chametz. V'nasiv like lakrali surah, and he uses the pasuk yimatzeh, which is masma issa. So and for the Gemara, It says l'cha two psukim. There's one in re'ei and one in mat. There's lo yorei l'cha in re'ei and there's lo yorei l'cha in bo. We have a rule in Shas, guys. In ena inyan l'kan, if I don't need it for it, shnei l'makam acher. So therefore, if I don't need it for lo yorei l'cha in bo, because I have it in bo, I'm going to use it for lo yimatzei. So I'm going to take the l'cha, even though it says lo yimatzei and it doesn't say l'cha, I have an extra lecha by the other lo yiroya. I'll interject that by the lo yimatzei. Now read it like this: Tamid loymar lo yimatzei lecha, and now lo yimatzei lecha is a heter. Lo yimatzei lecha lecha yataroya aval ataroya shel acherim. Even a guy that lives with you in the chutzner is not considered lecha. So therefore, that's Rabbi's teretz to the seemingly difficult brisa. Now, in the brisa we said a stira minei ubei. What did you say? You said the following: I can't see my own chametz, but I could see a goy's chametz. Yet in the same brisa, what did you tell me? You told me that if a goy comes and trusts you with chametz, lo yimatzeh, you can't take it. But 1 second, it's not lecha. He's entrusting you with his chametz. It's not his. It's not your chametz. So on one hand, you told me a heter that I can see someone's chametz is not mine, and the other hand, you told me that what? It's been entrusted to me, I can't. It should be found by you. But that would seem to be a contradiction, minei ubei. Says the Omamar again. Omamar is always guys going over the brisa, what we just said. So the two dots, first white line, Omamar, Yochel, I might think Yatmin, since you're not seeing it, it's hidden. Or Vikabel Pikdonis Min Anachri, because it's not yours. I might think you could accept it. Talmud Loymar, Lo Yimotze. It should be found by you, I can't accept it. 1 second. You're telling me I can't accept the pikadon of a guy? Ha'armit Reisha, you said in the first part of the brisa, Shalchoya Teroya Aval Teroya Shalacherim. You can't see yours, but you can see somebody else's. This Nachri is somebody else, so why can't I accept it? And for the Gemara, V'shal Gavaya Loy Kasha. Ha de Kibul Achrayas, ha de Loy Kibul Achrayas. If you didn't accept Achrayas, and the guy said to you, listen, can you watch my pikadon? And you say, I could watch it, but if anything happens to it, I'm potter. Period. I'm not a shomer on it. Forget about it. Nothing. You could accept that. That's mamish not lecha. Conversely, if you're a shomer, if you have a achrayas responsibility to make repayment, right, to go ahead and give back if something happens to it, then it's what you can be chayiv, guys. It's called a dava hagoyrim l'mamen. It's a dava, something that causes money. In other words, if I'm going to have to replace it, so that fact that I have to replace it, even though it's not my money now, but if it gets lost, I'll have to replace it. That makes it enough of my money that I can't watch it. So answers the Gemara, when it says you can't be makabel pikdonis from a goy, that's only if you're makabel achrayus of shmira. It's only if you're makabel achrayus of shmira, as it says right now. Like Hasha, Rabbi told the people of his town, Mechusa, remove the leaven of the army that stays by you. Even the ilud mignav, since it will be stolen, the ilud mitbad or be lost, it would be considered in your rishus. And since you'd have to pay, it's like yours. The usr, and therefore it's usr. So therefore, you see from Rabbi's case, if you're makabel achrayis, then what? Then you'd have to make it up, and therefore it's your money, and you can't accept it. The Rosh makes a beautiful dia, guys. Is this across the board any shomer, or only a specific shomer? So the Rosh is medayik in Rabbi's case. What did Rabbi say? Maybe it'll be lost from you, or maybe it'll be stolen from you. Mashma, you got to be a shomer sacha, because a shomer sacha is chayav b'gnei v'aveda. A shomer chinam would be potter b'gnei v'aveda. So the Rosh is medayik from Rabbi's lashon that if you're a shomer chinam, that's not enough of an achrayus to go ahead. Just because I'm chayav b'pshia in negligence, I'd have to pay. It's not enough of a reason. You have to be a full-fledged shomer sacha. There are people who disagree with Taisus. There's a Taisus in with the Rosh. There's a Taisus in Shavuos that seems to say that even you have to be a shoyel, even a shoyel. But again, it's a nice diak in the Gemara from the Lashon, right? May it be lost from you or stolen from you. The Rosh is very geshmak. So guys, so very good now. We have a brisa. We explained the brisa. We explained the difficulty in the brisa of that it was going on the heter. We said lashon avisa, lo yimatze is lashon avisa. We made lo yimatze a lashon of heter by saying lo yimatze lecha. Dafka is bayira and bayimatze is on lecha, not on somebody else's. We asked, then why can't you take the pikadon of a guy? And we said because since the brisa is speaking, where you makabel achrayus of shmira to go ahead and watch it. Since you makabel shmira, therefore why it's davar gar l'mamin, therefore you be chayiv. Now davar gar l'mamin is a machlokes what? It's a machlokes tanoim. The machlokes appears in Meruba, where a guy steals a korban, and he has to be careful. Even though Hegdish is Re'ehu, since this guy's going to have to make it up, it's considered Re'ehu. In other words, we say Shari Ehu. The din of Geneva does not apply by Hegdish, only by Re'ehu, your friend. So if you steal his korban, he's going to have to make it up. So this korban is a Dava Garim L'Mamin. Therefore, you be Chayiv Kefil. So therefore, that's where Shimon says a Shita. And they disagree with him. So the Gemara says, let's pick it up over here. 3 lines from the bottom. I understand very good. Since it's Mekabel Achrayus, it would be what? In fact, it would be you wouldn't be able to take the chametz in your rishus because it's like your money. It's not your money. What are you going to say? It's a shiny hachadam. It's because there's the kasev. Even though all over it's not money, over here lo yimatze means it should be found by you, and if it's found by you, you're going to be chayiv. There does have a different dialogue. Very good. That's why lo yimatze. To tell me, despite the fact it's not my money, lo yimatze, be sure that anything that's shaykhus, even of achrayus, should not be found by you. Why do you have to say lo yimatze to teach me that you can't be makabel of goy's pikadon? Of course you can't. It's a davar gar l'mamin. In other words, since you're going to be responsible for it, it's considered your money. So what I need lo yimatze? It says lo yirei lecha. It's considered yours already. So I do not need the pasuk lo yimatze according to the mani amad davar gar l'mamin. My answer is no. Salkadai, I mean, I would have thought. I would say since if it's around, it's not lost, you just return it, and therefore la b'shusikoi, it's not considered in your rishus. Linyan bayi kamash malon that it is. In other words, there's like 3 madregas. There's not your money, there is your money, and there's something that if lost would go ahead and be money. Davar gar l'mamin. It's not. Since if the guy would come and say, "Where's my package?" and the package you'd say, "Here it is." What do you mean here? It means it's really his. It's only when it lost does it become your money. So since you could return it, according to that mandiyama, I would have thought that even though davar gar l'mamin is money, right? Kamash malan, that since you return it, you can return it. It's not your money, and therefore you need a pasuk lo yimatze. Okay. Boy mine meirava. Behemas arnunas. Let's say there's a tax collector. The king takes 1/10 of everything. Now, we know that in a bachar, let's say, guys, you own the farm and you have an animal. How do you avoid a bachar? How do you avoid the chiyuv bachar? You have a guy has a shutfis in it, right? So does the chiyuv to pay tax, does the chiyuv to pay tax on this go ahead and take off the bachar or not? So the Gemara must know. Behemoth is anoina, a behemoth that is 1/10 because of the tax collector, chayeves. You chayev b'bechayra, or ain't chayev b'bechayra, or not. No, so you chayev b'bechayra because it's considered owned by the Jew totally, or since tax can be collected from it, it's considered the goyish king as a piece of the action, and you be potter. Says the Gemara, now kolech the matzi masalik b'bezuzei. Anytime you can pay off the tax collector with money and not the animal, like a boy lay the chayev. Here it's pashut that you chayev. Why? Because again, he doesn't own it. The fact that you have to pay a tax is not in this animal goof. He doesn't want goof for the animal. He wants he wants X amount of money. So if you can give him money, so he doesn't own the animal, therefore you be chayiv in b'chayra. Ki kami boilon. When do we have a shaila? Where you can't go ahead and buy him off. In other words, he dafka wants the animal. My. So amalu patura yipata. So he said, "Enachanami yipata." Rabbi says yipata. In other words, the goyish king has a piece of the action, and therefore you be pata b'chayr. I afraid the more of a tanya chayeves. Says the Hasim, the matzim salad like the chayev because you can pay him off. You pay him off. He doesn't have a piece of the action. Ikadi army. There's another dialogue. Now, not only, guys, this din of a guy having a piece of the action applies to Bechayra, there's another halacha. Reishis arisai sechem, your first of your dough. If a guy has a piece of dough, then you potter from challah. Okay, you potter from challah. So now, ikad yam yam rava behemus anoin betur mela b'chayra. A behemus anoin is potter from the b'chayra, even if you're doing masalik. If afagav the what's masalik late. However, isas anoina, isa that they take a piece of the action, even in the dough, chayeves b'chalu b'chayev. What's the chilik? The afagav the what's masalik late. Even if you can't be masalik him, in other words, even if he wants the dough, you'd still have to be mafresh challah. My timer, behema islay kala. A behema, there's a coil, and therefore people won't come to make a mistake and say any animal that's born is potter from b'chayra. They'll know that this animal, the king has a piece of the action. So we're not worried whatsoever that people might come to say that there's no din of b'char, because it has a coil that the king has a piece of the action. Isa by bread, less like kala. You don't know that the guy has a piece of the action. People will see it and mistakenly they'll think that you don't have to be mafresh challah. And they were geyser that you have to take off challah even when a guy has a piece of the action and it's not a riso chen. Says Gemara, Tan Rabbana, Nachri shenichmus lechatzeres shel Yisrael. A Nachri goes into the jurisdiction of Yisrael, who b'tseika biyadai, and he has in his hand, he has batzek, he has dough in his hand, he has mamish, comes with a piece of pizza. Ain't zakak levayer. You don't have to go ahead and say leave. Hefkida yetzlai, but he says, can you watch this? Then zakak levayer, then you have to remove it. Like yacheloi bias. If it's miyachet a house, if you say, listen, go put it over there. Ain't zakak levayer, you don't have to. Shneimar lo yimatzei. Fred might come on. How does lo yimatzei go ahead and get you off the hook? Samara papa areshikoi. Lo yimatzei is not going on the last case of the house. It's going on the first case. Vachi kamar. If kida yetzloi, if he goes ahead and is mafket to you, then zakik levaher. Why? Shneimar lo yimatzei. Guys, that's the Gemara we began. Right? We said lo yatmin, and you should be makabel pitainas. So therefore, why? Because lo yimatzei. Therefore, lo yimatzei. You can't do it. Ravashiyam no loylam asayf. It's going. The last case of being miyachid abayis. Vachi kamar. Yachid le bayis. If he's miyachid a place in the house, put the pizza over there. Ein zakik levaher. You have to shneimar lo yimatzei b'botechem. It should be found in your house. V'hai lav dedehu, and it's not his house. Why? The nachri, because the goy kikam maile lebeisei. The nafshi kamaile. When he brings it in, he's bringing in the nafshi. He's bringing in like in his jurisdiction. So therefore, you don't have to get rid of it because you might say it's not considered in your house. It's not considered what in your house. Lememra, you mean to tell me the schir is kanya? You mean to tell me that since he rented a place from you, he's koina and it's not yours? Period. But tanan. Now the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that you're not supposed to rent to a guy, because the guy is going to bring Avodah Zarah into his house. So now, but now, even places they say you could rent to a guy, you can't rent it as a residence. You have to rent it where you can keep storage area for animals or whatnot. But it can't be you could rent it. Why? Because because they're going to bring Avodah Zarah in it. So now, if you can tell me Schiris makes the place his, Kika Maile Lebesi Denafshi Kamaile. When he brings it in, he's bringing it into his own house. Guys, what's the head, the Yachid Le Bias? If he's Yachid Bias ain't Zakik Le Buyer, he's going to bring the pizza into a room. You rented him a room, he's going to bring it in. What's the Havamina is, this room is his room. Why? Because he rented it. If that's the case, if it's his, why can't you rent the room for a residence for a guy and not a storage area? Because even if he brings Avodah Zarah into the house, it's not going to be your house. So we have a question from Schiris of Avodah Galilim to Chametz. Why by Chametz do we say it's okay, it's not considered yours, that you don't have to get rid of it? Yet by Avodah Zarah, practically it is considered yours. And we don't say that Schiris that automatically owns the house. And for Gemara Shani Hacha, the Afgir Rachman B'Lashon Lo Yimatzei. Misha Matzeh B'Yadcha. In other words, the MS, Schiris isn't kaina. And therefore, by Avodah Zarah, we can understand why you can't bring it into your house. It's not kaina. You really can't bring it in. So why over here could you? Because it says, Lo yimatzeh, misha matzeh b'yadcha. Yatzeh zeh, she'ena b'yatzeh b'yadcha. It's yatzeh, the chametz, miyach a place, it's not considered matzeh b'yadcha. It's not, matzeh means it's at hand. Here it is. Over here, it's not at hand. When you go ahead, and and put it over there. So look at Rashi. Sheimatze biyadcha. Go to the side about where it gets a thin, wide, about 8 lines up. Sheimatze biyadcha. Shari oisa zavius mesur lenachri. It's not considered matzah biyadcha. It seems there are different dargas. There's a darga of like chutzner, it's my jurisdiction, and everyone would hold. If you tell the guy, listen, put it in the chutzner over there, of course you'd have to get rid of it, because therefore what? It's in my chutzner and it's mine. Conversely, if you rent it, if you bought, let's say the guy he bought a room, of course you don't have to get rid of it because it's not in your house. Renting is somewhere in the middle. Renting is taka, not the guy's. And then it's considered yours. But the Inyan Chametz, where the Isser is la yimatze biyadcha, it's enough the rental to take it out of the darga of being yours to be considered la yimatze, because you gave it to the guy. So the difference between a chutzner and a room that's rented, that would seem to be the difference to me.
But if you have the rights to go into the room, it would be a problem.
Yes, correct. That would be a problem. That would consider matzeh biyadcha. That would be considered matzeh biyadcha. Okay. Anyway, there's so many halachas over here. I have a sefer with sikum halachas. I should just, it's kedai to just post it and read through it. Like this person, Rav Michal Zilber, the one who put out the sefer, instead of bringing the Mishnah Berurah, he just brought a review, mamish, like one by one, the halachas of chametz shel goy shalei kibul achrayas. The chametz of a goy that you weren't mekabel achrayas on. You don't have to get rid of it. I feel in kavish tachas yadai. Even we said, even if the guy is underneath your jurisdiction, if you warm mekabel achrayas, you don't have to get rid of it. It's going to ger toisha v'shar yimcha v'chatzah. He's living you in the chatzah. It's right. Yeah. Okay. It's we're gonna have a halacha soon in a second, but again, it's a very geschmack. It's a very geschmack of sefer. Okay. More. This daf is packed. This daf is packed. Next case. You'll see from one next case to the other case. 2 lines. Okay. Rav Yehuda Marav. Second word line. Hamaitzi chametz bebeisay b'yantif. If let's say you find chametz in your house on yantif, so it's muktzah, guys. You can't move it. Koifi loves a kli. You go ahead and you take a kli and you cover it up. You cover it up. You shouldn't come to eat it. Amarava im shel koideshu im hegdish. Let's say it's hegdish. Ain't it sarach? You don't have to cover it up. My timer, mivdal bedili minei. People are going to separate from it, and since the whole Isra is eating it, you're not going to come to eat it. But Rav Yehuda Marav, chamtzei shel nachri oisalei mechitza asar tefachim. If it's the chametz of a goy, you make a mechitza of 10 tefachim high, mishum heka, to recognize it. If shel hegdish ain't it sarach. If it's hegdish, right, you don't need to. But ain't it sarach? My timer. Mivdal bodel inish minei. A person's going to go ahead and separate from here. Why don't you put a cup on top of it? So over there, what are you going to do, guys? It's your chametz, right? It's your chametz. You're going to put a cup on top of it. It's muktzah. Cholamoid, you're going to burn it. That's the halacha. Cholamoid. I had this shaila twice when I lived on East 34th Street. 2 people with the same shaila. We have chametz. We know this chametz. What do we do? I told him, you cover it up, you don't look at it, and you cover it up, and you burn it as soon as you can. If the chametz belongs to a guy, and you are mekabel achrayas, right? You're mekabel achrayas, good? Since you're mekabel achrayas, there's an issue of lo yimatze, right? But the problem is, you're not able to burn it, because it's not yours. To put a kli on top of it, you're going to need the kli during cholamoid. So over here, it's not enough to put a kli. You mamish have to build a little mechitza around it as a barrier. That's the difference between this case and the first case. First case, where it's your chametz, it's enough to cover it up. Moitzi yantif, you'll pick it up and you'll burn a chesh l'moed. Over here, where it's the chametz of a goy, where it's going to be there the whole moed, because you can't burn it. There you have to, and the kli you're going to use. Therefore, what? It's not enough to put a kli on top of it. You have to go ahead and build a mechitza.
Well, can I give it back to the guy after Pesach?
What?
If I have an achrayas, let him take the thing.
Yes. You can give it back. You can give it back after Pesach.
You don't have to burn it.
Yeah, no, you don't have to burn it. You give it back. It's not yours. From Rabbi Yehuda Marav, hamafish v'ayoytze b'shiorad. Quite now. This is classic. You leave your house you go on a caravan. What's the halacha of bedika? What's the halacha of of getting rid of chametz? Now, koidim shloishim yoyim, before 30 days, ein zachik levayir. You do not have to go ahead and remove it. In other words, before 30 days, there is no chiyuv. It's so fascinating. You know, they say, we're going to see, Dorshim halachas of Pesach, shloishim yoyim, there's a chalois of Pesach before 30 days. It's fascinating. So look what it says. Koidim shloishim, the bottom line, Rashi, Koidim shloishim, loichala choyva beer alav. Before 30 days, there's no chiyuv of beer. Mashma, 30 days before, there's a chiyuv to remove it. 30 days before. Pesach is the most strangest yontif. Again, we spoke out yesterday in Shir. You're Dalid, Erev Pesach, already you have to get rid of chametz. Midaraisa, you got to get rid of chametz. We had six shitas why you had to get rid of it, even though it's not going to be Pesach until the evening. And here we're seeing ad kedei kach a chiyuv to be mavayir chametz 30 days before. It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. You see how weit they went to go ahead in of chametz. It's amazing. Continues the Gemara. So 30 days before ein zakak levar, you don't have to remove it. Toich shleishim yom zakak levar. You know why? Because toich shleishim, the chalois to remove it was there. 30 days before, you have to. So any guy who goes on a trip, within 30 days, if you're going to Israel, right? You're gonna have to do bedika. You're gonna have to do bedika. You can't say I'm leaving, just leave everything. You're gonna have to do bedika. You're certainly gonna have to do a bittul. There's a shiloh when exactly you do the bittul. But again, these halachas I think I'm going to go through. That we said toich shloishim is zakik levar le'amoron el shadaita lachsa. In other words, when is there a chiyuv to get rid of it? Is only if you're going to return during Pesach. If you're not going to return during Pesach at all, ain't zakik levar. Don't leave your home yet. Ain't zakik levar. You don't have to. Amalei Rava, the daita lachsa. And if you das what lachser is to go ahead and return, I feel a Rosh Hashanah nami. You'd have to even get rid. If you're going to return Pesach, right? You'd have to get rid of it, even from Rosh Hashanah, because maybe you'll show up erev Pesach, Benji, and everyone else who's listening. You're going to show up erev Pesach, right? And you want to be mevatel it, and you'd be off kahak tzaris. Look at this Rashi, 4 lines to the bottom. I feel Rosh Hashanah nami. The chi chodabei b'mei Pesach, when you go ahead and return during Pesach, overleha, you'll be over upon it. It's mashma that what you don't have to be mevatel. There's Torah on this. At this time, it's not in your rishus that you can be mevatel it. It's asa avana. Comes Pesach, it's too late to be mevatel it. It's asa b'hana. It's not yours anymore. And it's not his. And when he sees it, he'll be over in Bayirah. So says Rava, if you're telling me you're returning during Pesach, forget about mitoy shloishim. Even from Rosh Hashanah, you would have to go ahead and get rid of it. That's what Rava says. Even Rosh Hashanah, you'd have to go ahead and get rid of it. Was the Rava Latanei? And Rava goes according to his reasoning. Dama Rava, let's say you have a house, there's chametz, and you threw crops on top of the chametz. You made your house into a silo. So you know underneath a bunch of crops is chametz. So now, if you made your house in Eitzer 30 days before Pesach, you don't have to get rid of it before. If you made your house a silo, storage area, and there's chametz, then you'd have to. Again, the svara being that there was a chalois of the chiyuv already 30 days before. If you're not going to clean it out, if you're going to go ahead and clean out the silo and you'll have the chametz, then I feel the even 30 days before you'd have to. So again, same svara. In other words, if the chametz is going to be in your rishus, you're going to have access to the chametz. You'd have to go ahead even before 30 days. So 30 days is the zman of the chiyuv. That's if you're not going to return. If you're going to return, forget 30 days. Even Rosh Hashanah, at the beginning of the year, you're going to have to get rid of it. Right? You're going to have to get rid of it 30 days before. Where do you get these 30 days? Where do we get these 30 days? Kidatanya. Shoylin v'dorshin b'hilchos haPesach koydem haPesach shleishim yayin. You go ahead, you have to ask and darshin hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days. If Shimon Gamliel Omer, Shtei Shabbos is 2 weeks. My time at Tanakama 30 days. What's the reason Tanakama 30 days? On the base, Shrei Moshe Omer b'Pesach Rishon. Moshe stood on Pesach Rishon. Umazir al Pesach Sheni, and he warned them about Pesach Sheni. Shnemar v'yasu b'nei Yisrael as a Pesach b'Moyadai. They made Pesach b'Moyadai, meaning on Tesvav. Ukasiv v'hi anoshim asher hayitzmeim l'nefesh adam. Like these Levium, again, they were watching the bones of Yosef, and they were tamei. They said, "What are we supposed to do?" And what did Moshe do? Moshe told him, "You wait to Pesach Sheni." Now he didn't tell them that you can't bring Pesach Rishon. He said, "You wait to Pesach Sheni," and he consequently told them all the halachas of Pesach Sheni. The Oraya is not that they asked and he told them you can't bring it, but you wait till Yudal Iyar. No, he went ahead and told them the halachas. Al Matzis Mar Miachluhu Tzliyesh, told them the same things. Why is he telling them the halachas? We must be that 30 days before you're going to be in the Pesach. In this case, Pesach Sheni, you go ahead and darshan. Okay, that's the source, Pesach Sheni. Now, what does Rabbi Shimon Gamliel do with that source? Because he says 2 weeks. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, Amelacha, I did the Mili the Pischa, Masakal Mili the Pischa. Since Moshe was speaking about Korban Pesach Rishon, he spoke about Korban Rishon Sheni, but not to go ahead and say that at 30 days before. My time, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel 2 weeks before. Moshe Omer Rosh Chodesh. Moshe was on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Umasir ala Pesach. Shnemar HaChodesh Hazel Lachem Rosh Chodashim. Nisan's the first, so that we're speaking Aleph Nisan. The Ksiv Dabu Al Kol Das Neisol Bes LaChodesh Hazeh. They should go ahead, take a set, tie it to the bed. So therefore, you see, it's on Rosh Chodesh, and he's telling the halachas of Korban Pesach, which is 14 days later. You're bringing on your Dalit. So the Rabbi Shimon says you have a riot to what? 14 days from Rosh Chodesh Nisan to Yudalid. Good, Moshe was told about a Chodesh Lechem, but how do you know he began darshaning the halachas on Rosh Chodesh? Maybe he's told them the halachas on day 4 or 5. It doesn't say where he told them the halachas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu just said he showed him the Levana, and exactly when Rosh Chodesh is, right? Moshe can figure it out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him the Moiled. But he doesn't say that he stated the halachas spot of Pesach that day. So you have no right to Rishon Gamliel that it's 14 days, and 12 days, 10 days. Maybe he started saying the halachas of 4 or 5 days later after Chodesh Zelachem. Ella, so therefore you need another source for who? For Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. Elama Rava Barshimi Mishmei Deravina Mehacha. Vayidab Hashem al Moshe b'Midbar Sinai. Now this is a pasha b'Loischa. Vayidab Hashem al Moshe b'Midbar Sinai. B'Shana Hashenis. And Moshe spoke to Bnei Yisrael in Midbar Sinai b'Shana Hashenis Iyar, and he b'Chodesh Rishon Uksiv Vayasu Bnei Yisrael. Excuse me. Bnei Yisrael b'Midbar Sinai b'Shana Hashenis b'Chodesh Rishon. Not Iyar. In the second, delete that. In the second year, the first month, Uksiv, Vayasu B'nai Yisrael, it's a Pesach b'Moyadai. And they made the Pesach. So therefore, it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And therefore, they see 14 days. It says, how do you know he's speaking on Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Maybe the same raya. So it says, Gemara, no, Amarav Nachman, by Yitzchak, ask him midbar. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is going to say, Rishova midbar. Ksiv Hacha, the midbar Sinai. It says over here on Rosh Chodesh Nisan midbar Sinai. Ksiv Hasam, it says, by Dabashal Moshe b'midbar Sinai b'oyel moyed be'echad l'chodesh hasheni on Rosh Chodesh of Sheni of Iyar Malahalam Rosh Chodesh Afkan Rosh Chodesh. So therefore now. You want to know, how do I know that Moshe, in the second year when the Keren of Mitzrayim was speaking to them in Rosh Chodesh? Of course, I know from Gzeir Shava to Parshas Bamidbar, where it speaks in the Rosh Chodesh of Iyar, and it says Midbar, and here it just says Midbar, so it also must be Rosh Chodesh. So Moshe must have told them the halachas Rosh Chodesh on the halachas of Pesach on Rosh Chodesh, and therefore Yudalid you have a riot of 14. Now this is out of order. Right? In Parshas Bamidbar, we have it was speaking about Chodesh Iyar, and in Parshas Baloischa, we have it speaking about Nisan of that year. So what's going on over here? They're both speaking about what? They're both speaking in the same year, right? In the second year, and yet it's out of order. We have the Korban Pesach being brought in Parshas Baloischa, and we have Moshe speaking to them in Nisan in Iyar. Says the Gemara, V'nichla b'Reisha. the Chodesh Rishon, v'chad nichtav the Chodesh Sheni, put it in the correct order, which is first Nisan, then Iyar. So Rav Menashe bar Tachlifa, Mishmei the Rav, Zoyse Meres, you see from here, Ein Muktam Umucha B'Torah. There's no thing as Muktam Umucha B'Torah. There's no order to the Torah. The Torah does not go out in order. So there's a Tosfos Rabbeinu Peretz who says over here something that is fascinating, that is really unbelievable. I just have to find it. So until we find it, there is a cryptic Rabbeinu Peretz who says over here, why do we say there's no order to the Torah? He says, he quotes a pasuk in Mishlei, Oire Chayim Pentefales Nu Maglaseha, Vleiseda, Kirish Na'u Maglaseha, Tiltal Kadosh Baruch Hu Parshiyos Shel Torah. Baruch Hu shook up the pashas of the Torah. Shelo Yehi Adam Koire Parsha Ketana. A person should not be able to read a small parsha, and do whatever he wants, and create whatever he wanted to create. It seems to me, if the Torah was in order, the world was created with Dibur. If it was written in order, it would be easier to go ahead and ascertain how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and you would be able to do kol chefza, you'd be able to create literally using letters, and therefore the Torah is not in order. It's Rabbeinu Peretz. The Chafetz Chaim brings a Medrash Yalkut. I'm going to quote this. I haven't decided my Gemara. Guys, listen to this. He quotes in Shmiras Haloshin, Shar Gimel, Per Gimel. V'omru Chazal, v'hu the Yalkut Tehillim, Omer Rebbe Laza, le'nitnu Parshiyas HaTorah ala Seder. The Parshiyas of the Torah were not given on a Seder. Shil Mole Nitu ala Seder, Kol mi shahayakir behen hayayachol lahachayos mesim, would be able to bring back the dead. Would you be able to bring back the dead? Ulasais moifsim, and you'll be able to do wondrous things. Lakach nis'ala mehem sedron shel Torah. It's hidden from them the order of the Torah. For who gilei l'akadosh baruch hu shenemar. Umi kamoni yikra. Who like me could read it? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the order of things. So it's so wondrous over here to me. You've never in a million years. We always wondered why ain't Torah? Why is the Torah not in order? It was famished for a reason, not to make it accessible to all to go ahead and be able to create. We do have Gemaras describing Amoraim even creating an Iglet Tilsa Erev Shabbos. We have Gemaras where people brought back people to life. Famous, right? The Gemara at the end of Bava Kama, where Rav Kahana had a split lip, and Rabbi Yochanan thought he was laughing at him, brought him back to life. Famous Gemara in Megillah, where Rav shefted Rav Zera, right? We have this Rabbah shefted Rav Zera. We have all these Gemaras that describe these things. Now it's easy to understand. These people, the Torah was in front of them like a flowing book. The way it went in order. Therefore, they were capable of doing such unbelievable things. Beautiful, beautiful shot. In Amra Papa, betray in Yani. We don't say there's ein muktam uch b'Torah only in two inyanim, two separate things. Then we say it. Aval b'chad inyana, whatever in one inyan, in one parsha, ma'id muktim muktim. Whatever came first, came first. Whatever came later. The ilaitei machi. Now, if the Torah was in order, then how do we ever have limudim such as klal prat? If it's one inyan, then the klal prat, the klal did first. Maybe it wasn't there at all. And maybe there's no prat. Maybe it's out of order. Elama, it's only two separate inyanim that we say imukta mucha b'Torah. But one inyan, one parsha, we don't say it. It's because the loitemafi klal prat ein b'chal masher prat dilma prat v'klalhu the su prat v'klal. You have a prat, a specific for klal and a rule. Nasa klal moisav ala prat. And then we have a rule, one of the hermeneutic, the law is the what? Maybe that's be moisav on the prat. Dilma kala pratu. Ihachi afilu b'trei yaninami. Even two inyanim also, we should not go ahead and say ein muktim, because we have people dashing in two inyanim, they dash in kala prat. A kala prat that are the psukim are distant from each other. You don't learn ein danamai the kala prat shapir. It's very good. Why we say ein muktim because you never come to make a mistake. Elaman the Omer Donin, who says in two that are ruchakim, psukim that are distant from each other, we will make a kala prat. What are you going to say? Maybe why it doesn't exist, because maybe it's in the wrong order. It says, even the one who says that what you do judge Murchakim, it's still in one parsha. You're never going to jump from parsha to parsha. In one parsha, there could be a few psukim away, we'll dash in, 1 or 2 psukim away. They don't have to be in the same pasuk, but we're never going to go from parsha to parsha. I will betray in Yoni, ain't done him, true in Yonim, 2 things we will not go ahead right in. Okay, so that takes care of the daf. We'll see Bez Hashem tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. There's some halachas over here. I just wanted to what are the halachas taka of going through? So I put it up on the screen so everyone can see it. Okay, so let's say you leave your house, right? You're leaving your house before 30 days, and the das is not to return. So since before 30 days, and you're not going to return, the chalois of what of the chiyuv to check wasn't chal. You don't have to check, and you don't have to remove it. What do you do with bittul? Are you this? Do you have to mevatel? Yeah, you leave your house. You know you have chametz in your house. You mevatel it. The makam shu, the aftein roya chametz. Even if you don't see it, you'll be over bal yatmin, which began the daf today, right? That lo yimatzeh bal yatmin, the lo batlina meikara. You weren't mevatel it, so you have to mevatel it, even though you won't see it. But since it's in your house, your jurisdiction, you have to mevatel. Yesh lechametz yidua. This is a big machlokes. You don't have to check for chametz, but what happens if you know you have chametz? What happens if you know you have chametz? That's the case. People go away. So that this is speaking about mechira. Obviously, these people, we sell our chametz, correct? This is speaking about mechira. So if you don't sell it, there are those who say you have to get rid of it, right? V'yesh makilim b'davar that say you don't. If you're going to return during Pesach, everyone holds you have to check for chametz. Shema yishkach. Maybe you'll forget to mevatel as a chametz. Maybe you'll forget to mevatel it. He's asking l'charif, if you mevatel it, what are you worried about? You come home, it's not your chametz. However, you may forget, and when you come on Pesach, and you'll see it to be over by Yeroya, because it'll be your chametz, it'll be l'chal. Let's say daita lachzad koydem Pesach. If you're going to come right before Pesach, now im daita lachzad koydem Pesach af koydem lamid bafil mitchilas hashana tzarich livdai yakach yotza, right? If you're going to come back, if you're going to know you're going to come back on Pesach, even this is the din of Rosh Hashanah, you're going to have to go ahead and be mevad. This is Rabbi's din. The chashin Hashem yachzer erev Pesach ben hashmashas. Your mom is going to walk in the door. You won't have time to check. You can't check on Yontif. Therefore, if you're going to know before 30 days, if you know you're going to come back on Pesach, you have to go ahead and move the chametz. Okay, now. Deis hachalukim. What is this? What is this going on? Deis hachalukim. Yeshavim shebezeh ein chayav livdoi. Shlei tiknu chachamim l'chshoy shemay yisachem ilavoi. Kima shedaita lavoi bisman. We're not scared. There are those who say they disagree. If you're going to come home, you're not coming home every Pesach finish mashas. Ulin dina posku harbe achroinim. The yesh lahachmir kidei rishayna. You should be machmir to check. If you're going to leave earlier, you should get rid of your chametz. You went on a emergency trip. You didn't check. You don't have to go back and get there before Pesach. Right? If you're not, that's not come to go. Bittul chametz, I feel okay, very good. Okay, everyone should have a great Shabbos. Been a pleasure.